Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome back to yet another AFK journey video. So in today's wishlist guide update, we're going to cover the September wishlist guide based on our prior knowledge on the Pioneer testing server. So some of this decision making as well as unit choice up here is based on my Pioneer testing server site, so I'll showcase some stuff later on for you guys so that you guys have a general picture. But without further ado, let's jump into the unit recommendation. So for I'll start with the Light Bearer site. In general, the Light Bearer site doesn't change too much from the August edition. It's still Tamasia, Vala, Merrily as well as Corin, mainly because the other Light Bearer characters are just not seeing too much use, or they're just generally a lot weaker compared to the top 4, so you don't actually see a lot of use for them in other game modes, and that's why it would be a waste to put them on your wish list if you're not using them. So that's for the A level side. For the S level side, yeah, Vala is still pretty much the strongest Light Bearer character, and with assassin comms on the rise with the release of Sinbad as well as Nara, Vala will see more use together with these units because she's one of the best assassin character in the game, so that's why she's here. For Tamasia's case, she's still generally versatile, can still go with armors and iron, and to a certain extent in certain dream realm bosses you can still use her, especially for Necro Dragon, so generally still a very versatile character. But if you don't want to put Tamasia in, you want to build up your battle drill teams, you want to build a magical centric team, you can obviously slot in Cassidy, but Cassidy, Atalanta as well as Rowan, they're obtainable from the arena store, so if you really want them and you want to build them up, then I would suggest you get those copies from the arena store instead and save your hero wish list for characters that you don't actually get from the store itself. So next, let's move on to the Mauler side. Okay, so some of you guys might be wondering, dude, Zip, are you crazy? Why are you putting Kruger here? So yes, if you don't have OD and Coco built up at this point, if you're really new to the game, OD and Coco is still the go-to A-level Maulers. They're just so good, they're just so versatile, they're just very free to play friendly that you want to build them up all the way to Supreme Plus. However, if you're watching this video in preparation for the Waves of Intrigue season, that's where most of your ODs or Coco might have been maxed out to Supreme Plus. So do you need them beyond Supreme Plus? The answer is yes and no, because they are also good PvP characters, but I think for somebody who's free to play or low on resources, having multiple characters at Supreme Plus is better, and that's where Kruger comes in. Okay, so Kruger will replace one of the characters that you have maxed out in the A class, because in this season itself, I'm going to showcase the early game Dream Realm best teams. So if you take a look at Lone Gaze formation right here, we have Kruger, we have Lenya as well as Mikola together with Coco, and then Alpha Bear is tomorrow, Skyclops is 2 days after, King Croaker, Necro Dragon has no records as well, unfortunately, Snow Stomper no. So Crystal Beater right here, as you guys can see, right? Coco, Mikola as well as Lily May together with Tadian and Reina, and then for Olsen right here, it's Kruger, Rice, Mikola, Lenya together with our dear Reina right here. So the reason why you are seeing like Kruger in the top tier early game teams is because there is an artifact known as the frontline spell artifact. So this is a very melee centric team artifact that gives you massive damage boost as well as damage reduction as well as a shield when you enter the enemy side of the field. So this makes all the melee characters a lot more powerful with this specific artifact, and based on the best team recommendations for the Dream Realm bosses itself, Kruger is gonna be quite important for the debuffing purposes. So even if you don't want to push him to Supreme Plus, getting a few copies of him to amp him up to a certain tier to survive better is also a good option. So that's why I put him here. So that is if you already have your OD maxed out right to Supreme Plus and you don't intend to push further into Paragon tier, then you put your Kruger inside. Okay, so that's for the recommendation for the A level side. And if you have like all these units at Supreme Plus already, then the next one, I think personally, and Tendra is also okay for PV content pushing, and certain PvP teams use Tendra as a cheese strat even though she's not super duper powerful. So it will be between these 4 characters in terms of the A level Mauler side, but the priority will be these 2, and once you max them out, the next one will be Kruger to get him to a certain tier to survive better, to apply the debuff permanently. So that's for Kruger's case for the A level side. Now for the S level Maulers, as you guys saw earlier, Mikola is used in all the top tier teams because of her amazing buffing ability, as well as the buff from the frontline spell ability, which makes her one of the best Dream Realm characters in the early to mid game of the season itself. So if you're somebody who chases after Dream Realm damage, this character will be quite important to amp up your damage. Do you need Supreme Blast on her specifically? The answer is no, because I think her strength lies in her ability to buff, so you just need enough stats for her to survive, for her to stick on the battlefield. So one copy is really usable, right? 2 copy or 3 copies will make her a lot tankier, so that you can survive the tougher bosses as you move up the difficulty tiers itself. So that's for Mikola's suggestion. And then we have Smokey, obviously still one of the most omnipotent character in terms of strength as well as versatility. Although in terms of the AFK stage side, he got nerfed slightly because of the influx of a lot of control effects. So that's something for you guys to look out for. But right, he's still without a doubt one of the best characters in the game in terms of strength and versatility. So that's why we have him here. If you don't have him at Supreme Plus, so if you really have any of these units to Supreme Plus already, if you've been playing the game for quite a bit, then the next best character to put on a wish list will be Shakir. I'll always recommend Shakir because Shakir will always be this good anti-control tool, and as long as control is a thing in the game, Shakir will find some slot in terms of your team building or even countering the enemies itself, be it battle drill, be it your AFK stage push, be it your PvP side of things. So these 3 units will be my top recommendation, and if you really have them built up, Reese is a pretty decent physical damage dealer. You saw Reese being used in one of the bosses just now. That's because physical teams are the go-to in the early stages of the game. So for the Dream Realm side, if you want to have a little bit more competitive edge and you really have all these characters built up, then Reese is a good choice to put in. If not, Mikola, Smokey, Coco and Odie will be your go-to, and if you really have Odie maxed out, then it will be Kruger on the list. So that's for the Mauler recommendations. For the Wilder side, Lily May and Iron needs no recommendation. I'm not gonna talk too much about them. They are pretty much the strongest characters in the game in terms of strength and versatility. So yeah, just put them on a wish list if you haven't maxed them out yet. So if you really max them out, personally, they're still worthy characters to go into the Paragon tier, because they're still amazing in the PvP side of things. So you can still continuously put them there just to prepare for the Paragon side. But if you really have them at Supreme Plus and you think that's more than sufficient in terms of your general gameplay, they can obviously slot in Florbell in terms of the slot that you maxed out the character in, and then use Florbell in your zoo teams. So that's for the Wilders S level side. For the other S level Wilders characters, they're all really good, by the way, right? They all have their own users. Brian for anti-Lily May in Arena, Danny for control, Hewin for the best heal in the game, but they're all obtainable from the arena store. So if you desperately need these characters for your team build up, then go for them in the arena store, right? If you want to accelerate your redemption for them in the gacha system, or you want to accelerate the tier system for these characters faster, then you put them on a wish list based on who you need. But the 2 that I recommend will be Lily May and Iron. And then for the A level side, I'm recommending Arden as well as Almas for a few different reasons. Okay, previously it would be Damien together with Arden, because this one forms a very powerful tri-core. But Almas right now goes really well with Iron and is one of the best control duo in the game. Insta control with extended control, with a lot of control synergy with other control units moving forward. So that's why I recommend putting Almas here for future synergies as well as current powerful synergy. And on top of that, because we already have Coco and Smokey here, we also have Mikola here. And for the Graveborn side, because I'm recommending Ludovic, so I have 4 of the best healers and support in the game, which means that in terms of the sustain compartment, I'm pretty covered, and that's why I'm putting Almas here. So if you're not intending to put Ludovic here, you can put Damien here for PvP purposes, because Damien generally is used in AFK stage push as well as PvP, very similar to Almas. So the good game modes that these 2 units excel in, they're pretty much the same. It's just who you actually need and what kind of team builds you want to go for. So I went for Almas, and then right, Arden is obviously there for the Iron combo for your different game modes that synergizes really well with Iron. So that's why Arden is here. And then for the Graveborn side, for the S level, I'm recommending Ludovic as well as Carolina or Torrent. So Torrent is still one of the best units in the game in terms of the Graveborn side of things, because this character is good for PvP, very good against melee characters, also decent in your PvE stage. If you don't have some of the best teams built up, you can put your Mauler team with our dear Torrent over here. You can also put, for example, like your half-baked team with one carry, with one healer, with Torrent, and then 2 other units to fill the void. So Torrent in general is still very useful, but since this character is one of the most recommended character by a lot of people at the start of the game, right, if you really have him built up all the way to the Supreme Plus tier, and like I mentioned earlier, you don't intend to use him beyond Paragon, or you don't intend to push him to Paragon tier, then switching him out for Carolina is also a decent choice, because Carolina is still really powerful in the Iron Carolina teams, right, with the massive damage as well as control potential with Arden, Iron and Carolina. So still very good for PvE, for your content pushing, still decently good for arena depending on who your enemy feels, and you can definitely use her for the battle drill side of things. So this character still have some users, so it's between these two, right? And for the second slot itself, it's Ludovic, because for the Graveborn side this season, it will be very Lightbearer and Graveborn centric, based on the trailers we saw, based on the characters that are already featured. So with regards to Graveborn becoming more powerful, having a Graveborn healer built up ahead of time to prepare for the upcoming potential OP Graveborn teams to come is definitely a wise choice, because Ludovic is good generally in terms of the different game modes. PvP, your AFK stage push as a healer, even your Dream Realm. I'll say as you go later and later, when HP percentage damage becomes a thing once again, Ludovic will definitely see some use there, right, in terms of the healing, in terms of the damage dealing side. So that's why Ludovic goes into my S rank list in terms of the 3 units to select from. So if you don't have Torrent built up, then it's Torrent and Ludovic. If you already have Torrent built up to Supreme Class, it's Carolina and Ludovic. So with regards to Igor and Cecile, they're all obtainable from the arena store, and they don't see any particular major usage across the different game modes, so I won't recommend them. So therefore these 3 units are your go-to for the Graveborn S ranks. Now next, for the A rank for the Graveborn side, Sylvina is my top tier recommendation, because the Assassin Core is going to be a lot stronger, right? Like I mentioned earlier, Sinbad, Nara, we're going to get more hyper offense characters, which will make the Triad Assassin teams in PvP a lot more impactful, and Sylvina remains one of the best fast game sniper, right? Jump in, kill off the enemy quickly, and then start the ball rolling kind of unit. So you want to invest in her to prepare for yourself for the PvP changes moving forward. As for Viperion, right, since we are on the subject of PvP, with regards to the other game modes, you have the coverage from the other classes, namely the Wilders and Maulers, and even to a certain extent from the S rank Graveborn and the Lightbearer side. So you don't actually need Salazzo or even a Niru, because Viperion is the strongest in terms of the PvP from the bunch. Although some people might say Salazzo has some PvP use, but honestly speaking, it's quite far in between, right? And this character just don't see a lot of use, so that's why I'm not recommending him. Niru is also viable. So let's say if you want additional healing power from your wishlist and you don't think that you need Viperion prepared for the PvP side of things, then go for Niru. Niru does, I'll say, decent sustain for the team. Obviously not as good as Smokey as well as Ludovic, but if you just need additional support for the team, putting Niru in the wishlist is also okay. So this will be my normal hero wishlist. Okay, take a screenshot. Let me know down in the comment section what you think, and then what are the other recommendations that you might have for other players in case you are a veteran player yourself. So that's for the normal side. Let's go into the epic recruitment. So my wish list right here, I think the core units from this will be these 3. Okay, these 3, Iron, Lily May, Smokey, they are really important. And if you are basing around the early game Dream Realm bosses for the best damage itself, Mikola is also quite crucial there. So this 4 will be what I'll say the crucial units for the early game push, for the early game Dream Realm rewards, as well as general contents. And then for the 5th slot, I'll say it's between Torrent, Carolina, or even Ludovic, based on your personal preference, or even Shakir if you want more anti-control in the PvP, or even just general game modes. It's flexible, depends on who you lack and what you need, right? This will be my few recommendations. Vala's also okay, amazing stuff for the assassin side. So depending on your gacha luck from normal hero recruitment, right, what characters you get there, will determine what you lack for the eventual team build up. So that's where you make like your hero choices changes based on your own account, based on what character you lack. So this 3 will be a must for me, and then Mikola for the Dream Realm consideration, and then for the last slot it's between this, maybe Florbell if you want to build a zoo team, or maybe Ludovic if you believe that Graveborn will be a thing, and preparing for the Graveborn teams with a very powerful Graveborn healer is something that you think about, right? Ludovic is okay, but if not, I think this 5 would be my go-to for most beginners in terms of the epic hero recruitment, just for their insane versatility as well as their early game Dream Realm ranking potentials. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more wishlist guide update. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.